Hi, welcome to the third part of the SwiftUI for Beginners mini course. After getting familiar with Xcode 12, we dive right into it and start creating our first SwiftUI app. For doing this, we use the SwiftUI demo app project we created in the last part. Make sure you open up the content view.swift file in the editor area. You can do this by clicking on it in the navigator area. Now you see a split screen. On the left side is the code we use to build our app's interface. This code basically consists of two blocks. The first one is the view struct. The view struct is the place where we write our code for building up our app. You see that the struct itself contains a body property. Inside this body property, we create, arrange, and modify all the components we need for our app's interface. The second one is the preview struct. This struct renders the view with its body and displays it in the preview simulator on the right screen. In our example, every time we update our content view struct, the related preview struct gets notified. It then displays the updated view inside the preview simulator. If the preview simulator is not running yet, click on the resume button in the upper right corner. Usually changes are adopted automatically, but sometimes, especially when larger changes are made, we need to click the resume button to update the preview simulator. As you see, Xcode already generated a text object reading "Hello World." Let's modify this object by changing its string. You see that this change gets instantly reflected in the preview simulator. Awesome. It is important to know that every object in our view struct itself is also a view. And because our text is a view, we can customize it by using so-called modifiers. You see that there is already a padding modifier applied to our text view. The padding modifier creates some spacing around its related view. Let's delete the padding modifier to see how this affects our view. Note how the spacing around our text got removed. Let's say we want our text to have a larger font. We can easily do this by applying a modifier to it. Remember that modifiers are used to modify view objects in SwiftUI. Feel free to browse through the modifier gallery to get an overview. You can open it up by clicking on the plus icon right above the preview simulator. For example, let's add the font modifier to our text view. You can do this by dragging and dropping it from the modifier gallery. In this example, we choose the large title option of the font modifier. To see all options available, you can delete the code inside the braces and just write a dot and wait for the drop-down menu to appear. Feel free to try them out. We just saw how we can add modifiers by using the modifier gallery or adjusting the corresponding code manually. But the cool thing in SwiftUI is that we can also do this directly in our preview simulator. Command-click on the text view in the simulator and click on Show Inspector. For example, we can change the text color here. Next, we want to add another text view to our content view. For achieving this, we need to use so-called stacks. Stacks are used in SwiftUI to stack multiple views along a certain axis. There are three types of stacks. V stacks, where all views inside it are stacked vertically. H stacks, where all views inside it are stacked horizontally. And Z stacks, where all views inside it get stacked on top of each other. Let's see how stacks in SwiftUI work. Let's say we want to place another text view below our current one. Because they should be aligned vertically, we use a V-stack for this. For creating a V-stack, you can simply command-click on the existing text view and click on Embed in V-stack. Now we can add another text view to our V-stack to place it below the first one. Next, we want to limit the width and height of our both text views. To do this, we can use the frame modifier. By applying it to the whole V-stack, both text views are affected as a whole. Using the frame modifier, we are placing the V-stack's views within an invisible frame with the specified dimensions. At the moment, both text views are centered, but instead we want to align them on the left side. To do this, we can add braces behind the V-stack and use the alignment parameter to change the alignment mode of the wrapped views. For aligning the views inside the V-stack on the left side, we use the leading option. We also want to increase the vertical spacing around the text views. We can do this by using the spacing parameter. Let's add another view below our text views, but this time a button. Let's try doing this using the preview simulator. Click on the plus icon to open up the view library. Next, search for button and drag and drop it below our second text view. Make sure you insert it below the V-stack and not into it. Great. You see that SwiftUI automatically created another V-stack and placed the one we created earlier into it. Below this wrapped V-stack we see our new button view. Again, we want to increase the vertical spacing. Inside this curly braces, we define the content of the button view. We want our button to read "Show me the logo." Therefore, let's insert a text view. We want the button's text view to have a blue background, a white font, and rounded corners. To do this, we use the modifier's background. Corner radius and foreground color. We also want to enlarge the button's background. To add some spacing around individual views, we use the padding modifier. But wait a second. Why did the padding modifier not affect our button's look? This is because we didn't use the right order for the modifiers we append to the button. To understand this, let's take a look behind the scenes and explore how modifiers in SwiftUI work. Let's take a close look at our text view. We initialized the text view with a string reading "Show me the logo." Then we added a background to it by applying the background modifier. What happened next is that the modifier utilizes the text view and created a new view out of it while changing the font type. So the key takeaway to remember is that applying a modifier to a view does not really modify the view itself. It rather creates a new customized view out of it. When applying another modifier, in our case the corner radius, SwiftUI creates another view. It does so by using the view resulting from the background modifier we applied first. While doing so, it adds a background to it. Applying the next modifier, foreground color, again initializes a new view out while changing the font color. And this is why applying the padding modifier as the last one does not work as expected. The padding modifier of the text view uses the last created view. This is a text view that already has a blue background and rounded corners. But after applying the padding modifier, we don't tell SwiftUI to fill this new space around the text view with color. Instead, let's use the padding modifier as the first one. Now the background modifier utilizes a text view that already has some spacing around it and fills it with color. That's it for now. In the next part, we will learn how to show an image when the user taps on the "Show me the logo" button. By doing this, we will get familiar with the basic data flow concepts used in SwiftUI. Until then, make sure to subscribe to this channel to not miss any new videos.